Every time I pick up Think and Grow Rich, I'm struck by how the ideas written back in 1937 still feel so fresh. What is it about Napoleon Hill's principles that you think connects so deeply even now?
It's wild, isn't it? I think it's because the book doesn't just dish out business advice, it really digs into the psychology behind success. Those stories about Carnegie or Edison, for example, make you realize that mindset always has been, and probably always will be, the real engine behind achievement.
Totally. It's almost like Hill anticipated what modern science would say about belief and motivation. Speaking of motivation, let's dig into that first big principle he talks about. Hill says everything starts with desire, but he's not talking about a passing wish. Have you ever set a goal so specific and chased it so hard that it became impossible to ignore?
For sure. I remember deciding I wanted to run my first half marathon. It wasn't just, oh, I'd like to do that someday. I set the race date, told my friends there was no backing down. That single-minded focus, it honestly changed how I approached everything, not just running.
That's such a good example. The more vivid and clear the goal, the more your brain seems to rally behind it. Funny enough, Hill says that clarity actually transforms motivation itself. But then comes the question, how do you keep believing when things get tough? Hill talks about faith not as wishful thinking, but as this deep belief that you can achieve your goal. How do you personally nurture that kind of faith when doubt creeps in?
Honestly, I go back to visualization. Just picturing myself crossing the finish line or nailing that job interview makes it feel real. There's science behind it too. When you repeatedly imagine success, your brain starts to treat it as possible, not just a fantasy.
That's so true. I've noticed when I actually say my goals out loud, it builds this weird sense of accountability, like, now I have to prove I can do it. Hill calls this autosuggestion, right? Let's talk about how that works. There's a lot of chatter about positive affirmations these days, but Hill was onto this nearly a century ago. Do you ever use self-talk to push through challenges?
All the time. Before big presentations, I'll literally stand in front of the mirror and pump myself up. At first it felt cheesy, but it honestly rewires the way you see yourself. Over time, those little statements stack up and start to change what you believe you're capable of.
I've felt that too. It's like you're programming your own confidence. The next layer, though, is knowing what to say, and that's where having real expertise comes in. Let's shift to that. Hill is clear. General knowledge just won't cut it. It's specialized knowledge, paired with action, that actually creates value. What's a niche you've leaned into that set you apart?
Marketing strategy for small nonprofits. I dove so deep read obscure journals, took odd online courses, volunteered. That expertise made me the go-to for projects nobody else wanted to touch. It's wild how focusing on one thing can open huge doors.
Love that. The more specialized, the easier it is to stand out. But sometimes you need new angles to solve old problems, which brings us to the magic of imagination. Hill divides imagination into synthetic and creative. When have you used each kind to break through roadblocks?
Last month, I had to design a new workshop. I cherry-picked formats from past events, synthetic imagination. But then, while out on a run, I got this spark and came up with a twist. No one expected total creative imagination. Those aha moments keep work exciting.
That's the best. Sometimes the mix of old ideas with a flash of something new is exactly what a project needs. But once you've got the idea, it all comes down to execution. So let's talk planning. So many of us have big dreams that stall out because we never put pen to paper. Have you ever seen a plan make the difference between wishing and actually doing?
Absolutely. I used to be awful at planning. Then I broke a huge goal into weekly steps, even tiny ones. It made the whole thing way less overwhelming. Plus, sharing the plan with others gave me some much-needed accountability.
It's funny how involving others can supercharge a plan. But first, you need to actually decide you're going for it, which leads right into Hill's next lesson. I've noticed the most successful people aren't the ones who overthink, they're the ones who decide and act. Why do you think making decisions fast matters so much?
It keeps you out of that analysis paralysis trap. I've missed opportunities just by hesitating too long. Now, even if it's uncomfortable, I try to commit and adjust later if needed. Waiting rarely makes the choice any easier.
Exactly. Once you decide, the next villain is giving up too soon. Which brings us to persistence, the real difference maker. Have you ever been tempted to quit right before a breakthrough? This is where so many people stop short.
Oh, more times than I can count. I almost ditched a side project after 2 failed launches, but pushing through that rough patch taught me more than any quick win. Now, whenever I face rejection, I try to see it as a signal to refine, not to quit.
That resilience is everything, but it helps so much to have a team cheering you on. Let's talk about building your own mastermind group. Hill's big on the power of masterminds, basically a crew that challenges and supports you. Do you have people like that in your life?
I do. Our monthly brainstorming group has kept me accountable and pushed my ideas further than I ever could have solo. Sometimes, a simple question from someone else opens up a whole new solution.
It's amazing how other perspectives light a fire under your plans. But there's a deeper level to all this Hill's ideas about the subconscious and intuition. Let's get into that mystical side for a second. Hill gets philosophical here. He talks about the subconscious mind, the brain as a transmitter, and even a sixth sense. How do you tap into these? Do you trust your gut when making big decisions?
I've learned to. When I ignore those nudges like an instinct about a partnership, I almost always regret it. There's something powerful about letting your subconscious work in the background. I've had solutions come to me during walks or in dreams.
That's so real. Sometimes the smartest move is stepping back and letting your instincts catch up. So, to wrap up, let's pull all these threads together for listeners ready to take action. If someone's ready to go beyond just learning these ideas and actually live them, where should they start?
Start by writing down your biggest, clearest goal and read it to yourself every morning. Picture it, feel it, and then take one small step daily. Over time, it's wild how your habits and perspective shift.
I love that. It's not just about making money. It's about growing into someone who lives with purpose and energy. Hill's message is, success starts in your mind. So, go out, picture that goal, and act on it.
And remember, as Hill famously says, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So why not you, and why not now?